All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Hook the Line. Today we're going to be talking some more college basketball. We've got some mid-season, or I guess late season now, awards to talk about. So we're going to be going through who our current National Player of the Year is, Defensive Player of the Year is, the Freshman of the Year, Coach of the Year, Sixth Man, and Most Improved Player. We're going to go through those six awards, give out our late season right before we head into March awards before we really get into the depth of bracketology, and that bracket does come out in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like this. I like this video idea. But speaking of the bracket, I'd like to address my previous comments in our last video regarding my national champion pick in the Yukon Huskies. I'm jumping off that train. I think if anyone that watches this is aware of what's going on in stores, just up the street from me, yeah, I'm not buying into that. Big East is not as strong as it once was. I feel like you got that top three that'll probably end up in the tournament, but I mean, Creighton and Marquette kind of fallen off a cliff. I know Creighton did just beat UConn, so maybe not a cliff, but I mean, I think that's more of a bad showing from UConn. I think that the pace that they play isn't really gonna help them in the long run because they have some other issues in their game. So I'm not gonna back that take anymore. They're no longer my national champion pick. Um, I'm figuring out. I'll figure out if I want to come out and say my new one, but um, yeah, I'll say it. I think it's the Houston Cougars for me at the moment. I just like the overall roster structure. I think that they play really well together. I think having the three guys back from that final team, and Sharp, Tugler, and Uzan is huge to help both Sanak and Flemings. I just really like that dynamic. Obviously, they have a Hall of Fame coach, but I think the ability that Flemings brings to get you a bucket at any time is really valuable in March, especially late in games. We saw it a little bit. I know he slipped and fell on that last play against Iowa State, but I mean, he beat Lipsy on that play. So if he stays on his feet, who knows what happens? Maybe he makes the bucket and the game outcome comes a little different. But um, yeah, I'm buying into them a little bit. I like the revenge story after they really came so close to a national championship last year. But yeah, a little bit of a bracket shakeup for me, but I'm sure we'll get into more details in the weeds of it when we get a full picture. And I mean, I can't believe how close Selection Sunday is. It's really creeping up here, but um, yeah, that's my spiel for a little bit. I don't know if you want to speak on anything
Oh
from
no,
our last video.
I like the switch up. I've always been a big fan of Houston. I would love to see them win. I love Kelvin Sampson. I think he's a great coach. And then I'm sticking with Arizona for now. They got themselves back on track
About
against a win against BYU after a couple of losses, but it's hard to go undefeated in college basketball. So, it is what it is there. And then my sleeper team, just want to shout out Villanova. They're really doing me right after that last video. Came out and got two massive wins. So we'll see if they can keep on track and I can stay on there because that is a big sleeper that I got right now.
Yeah, no doubt. But let's get into it. Let's get into the main topic of the video.
All right. Where do you want to start? Because we can start with some of the more lesser awards and work our way up to National Player of the Year, or we can just go right off head of the snake, National Player of the Year. Um,
Let's go with the lesser ones actually. I like this one. So you pick one of the maybe lesser ones you like and maybe feel confident about to lead us off.
so I like to start off. Let's start off on the bench. If we're starting off
All right,
start off
like
on the
that.
bench. We're gonna start off with our sixth man of the year award, guy that comes off the bench, difference maker. And I can go and lead us off because I just talked about my Arizona Wildcats that are my national champion right now. And so I'm gonna pick Anthony Del Orso to be
Mm,
my sixth man right now, coming off the bench, just giving solid 20-point performances here and there. I think it really sets this Arizona team apart from other teams when you can have a kick like that. And I want to be clear. I mean, it says he's the sixth man and he comes off the bench, but he plays just as many minutes as a lot of these guys are starting. So maybe it's a little bit of a cheat pick in there and the fact that he plays so many minutes, but he does come off the bench and he does make a difference. And I like him off the bench. I mean, he comes out, he just hits big shots, he makes big shots, and makes big plays.
I like that. And just to preface, we do pick these before we start talking. So when I say mine, you're gonna be like, oh God. But um, mine is Tobe Awaka, his teammate at Arizona. I think what makes this team so good is the depth of this team because obviously their starting lineup is very good to begin with, but their bench really puts them over the top. So you could argue that both of these guys are would be six mans on other rosters. So I mean, I'll say him. He's averaging almost 10 boards off the bench. Like he, the intensity that he brings when he comes off the bench to kind of bring a spark is really unmatched in terms of other landscapes of college basketball. But I think it takes a really good teammate, good person to have a lot of experience, be a senior leader on this team, and start last year, but then get moved into a bench role for a freshman, but still come out and play with a lot of intensity and um, not really care what his role is. So I want to give him a little bit of a nod because he's been a huge contribution to their success, and yeah, he's a really good player, and sure we'll hear more of his name as time goes on into these neutral site tournament games.
Well, I mean that yeah, that is funny. We're both on Arizona. I mean, it does prove how good they are though. So to
Yeah,
that point, I mean, you could give both these guys a starting spot other places. And both these guys have
right.
started, at least for Walker, he started other places. So I mean, it's really going to be tough to beat a team that's got guys like that coming off the bench. But that's funny. Both six man. You could have put Caden Boozer in there. I know we talked about that a little bit in the coming days. I don't know if there's anybody else you want to shout out because we both picked Arizona.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other guys. I think Michigan has a lot of guys off the bench that play really well. LJ Cason's played pretty well for them off the bench. Like a lot of those top echelon teams have guys that come in and provide sparks off the bench that are extremely valuable and lead to a lot of their success.
Yeah, and then for me, I'll just say like Iowa State, Nate Heisey is another guy. I mean, you
Oh
saw
yeah,
put
it's a
on
good one
display
for
this
sure.
weekend. I don't think he's got the stats that some of these other guys have, but from what they've said about Iowa State's coach, what he thinks about him, and what he showed in that game against Houston to upset them, it was pretty big. So
Yeah, no
we will
doubt.
come in that conversation soon. But moving on from there, we'll stick to the on the bench side, standing right next to the bench. We'll go to the coach of the year
Coach of the
before we
year.
bring it on to the court. So I don't know. Well, I'll let you lead off on this one
All
on
right.
the year.
I think there's a handful of coaches you could probably give this to. I like to give this to a coach that has done a lot with less. So I feel like that's a good indicator of a good coach. So I think there's a couple guys you could give this to. The name I probably give it to is Fred Hoiberg at Nebraska. I think that is just. I mean, they had an impressive start to the season. They really had Michigan on the ropes for a little bit there on the road. Unfortunately, weren't able to come away with that win. They played a hard fought game against Purdue after going down early, right? Not a lot of incredible, mind blowing talent on that team. No offense to those guys, but I think that the he found what works with the player set that he has with the a lot of threes going up, playing really spread out, and it's led to a pretty good record. And honestly, what they're probably going to end up being top four, top three seeds. So I got to give him a lot of credit. I also think about Josh Schertz at St. Louis. Unfortunately, I have no clue who the Miami Ohio head coach is, but just to be undefeated at this point in the season is impressive on its own. So few couple guys there, but I'm going to give the ultimate nod to the Big Ten coach Fred Hoiberg.
Yeah, no, I like, and what Nebraska's done. I mean, you mentioned a couple of videos back that they haven't won a tournament game. So the fact that they are now going to have the potential to go do that, hopefully they do
Yeah,
get that down on their record. It's just impressive to have a program like that. And we know the Nebraska fan base is what it is. So for them to have that kind of experience now, it's good to see in college basketball to see a fan base like that kind of get what they deserve. But I'm going to go the other route. You went with a little bit lesser known. I'm going to go with probably the guy that just has the most dominant team at the moment, and that's going to be Dusty May. I think it's hard because, it's normally going to be between two guys, one that's, having a super successful season with a really talented roster, and then a guy like what you mentioned. That's typically what it's going to come down to in that race. I just think the ability to go out and get the transfers that he got, implement the system that he does, really focus on bigs, rebounding, and efficient shot making. I mean, it's the second chance points, all that. It's all coached effort wise. So getting Yaxel Landenborg, I mean, that was huge. Getting Mara down low, just unbelievable. Michigan wasn't on a crazy run before this. Like they were not a crazy team last year. So it's been a really fast turnaround. Now they've kind of done what they were projected to do, but I don't think anybody projected them to do it in this dominant of fashion. So it's impressive so far. We'll see if they can keep it going. So I got Dustin.
He's Yeah, he's been absolutely, him and his staff have been absolutely the most impressive coaching staff in the country, I think. As a Purdue fan, watching them kind of dismantle us was a really clear indicator of that because a lot of teams, have struggled playing us. I mean, we're not an easy team to play, but I think that they um, visibly showed multiple ways to beat us, and not only us, but other teams across the country. And I think he obviously had a clear vision of what he wanted his team to look like. He got the guys to do so and got them to play the way that he was thinking, and that's obviously the biggest indicator of a good coach. So I like that pick.
Yeah, maybe an obvious one there, but you gotta mention him because
Yeah,
he's not good. All right, from there, we'll let you pick. We can go most improved, or we can go
yeah.
for
Let's go there. Let's go most
we go most
improved.
improved. All right, we'll stay up the line here. I can start off with this one. It's a guy I really like, guy I was really high on these last couple of years. And that's going to be Boogie Fland over at
Mhm.
Florida. Um, I feel like he's gotten a lot of flack because he has a lot of expectations and have had a lot of expectations. Whether he was at Arkansas, I think that's where he was, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Whether he was at Arkansas, and I think he underperformed a little bit there at Arkansas. People were a little bit upset with how he's doing. But at Florida, I think he's really found his groove, especially hustle wise and defensively. I'm really impressed with Boogie Fland. Obviously, we all know how good he is as a scorer and a driver to the basket and things like that. But he's almost leading the SEC in steals. He might be leading. I'm not sure. He's right around there, one or two in steals. But he's just a difference maker, and especially Florida with Xavier Lee still struggling right now, and maybe he'll get that turned around. Boogie Fland is asked to do a lot from the guard spot and to pick up where Walter Clayton left off, and I think he's been able to make maybe not the biggest jump in the world, but a much bigger jump than a lot of people anticipated from the drop off from Clayton to Fland. So he's mine.
That's a good one because mine is actually very similar into what you just said, and in terms of having big shoes to fill. And that's LeBaron Philon from Alabama. I think that
Mm.
that's um, really similar to what you just said in terms of filling the shoes of Mark Sears and Grant Nelson, right, and having to deal with the high expectations that Alabama have had for the past few years. Obviously, going all the way back to like Brandon Miller, um, and to still be able to have success as the lead guard, as the lead guy. I think that shows an ultimate maturity, even only being a sophomore and moving into a bigger role, playing significantly more minutes. So, I mean, he's averaging over 20 points a game. He's moving the ball around, setting up his teammates. So, I mean, it's hard not to give it to him because they've now turned Alabama into a pretty consistently good basketball program. Obviously, tribute to Nate Oates, but um, I got to give Philon credit because there was a lot of roster turnover from year to year. If you look at last year's team versus this year's team, and he's been able to kind of keep them afloat a little bit, have some success. I know that their scheduling is pretty tough, so they do play a lot of good teams earlier in the year, so their record isn't anything breathtaking, but still they're able to be at the upper tier of the SEC, and obviously still in the conversation as a top five, top six seed in the NCAA tournament.
Oh yeah. No, he's definitely the head of the snake when it comes to scoring for them, and his night typically determines how their night's going to go, and lucky for them he doesn't have many off nights, so he's been super impressive. I think you could almost, I mean, as much as I hate him, but you could almost throw Aiden Holloway in that conversation too with the steps he's made, but
Both of them, yeah.
consistent wise, LeBaron Philon every night is going to give you a certain number or at least a certain level of effort where he's going to keep you competitive in games. And so he's a scary guy to guard if you're going against him. I mean, he attacks violently and he's good. He's a good player. So I like both those guys. Very similar, like you said, just having to pick up shoes from guys who really left their legacy with a lot of experience behind. So it's been good. I like those both for most improved. Not really sure where else to go. If there was anybody else you were considering. And
Oh, not really, not a ton to be honest with you. Just because I feel like when you think about the landscape this year, it's a lot of freshman driven. Maybe that can be a good segue into our next
oh yeah.
topic of discussion. But um, I think those are two worthy nominees and mentions. And let's talk freshmen.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great segue right in there. I like that. I don't know if that was planned or not, but it
No, but
like it. That was good right off the dome. So, yeah, freshmen. This is probably the biggest talking point in college basketball right now because National Player of the Year and freshmen feel almost synonymous at the moment, which is crazy. But the freshman class, this has got to be the best I've ever seen, at least from watching, and maybe I'm missing some years there, and I don't know if there was another one like this, but in terms of just pure talent and the amount of freshman players that are leading their teams and scoring and leading them into March now, it's going to be really interesting to see how March shapes up with freshman driven teams because typically we see that with like Kentucky and when Calipari was there, and then they'd struggle when they got to the tournament and they'd get knocked out early. So it's going to be interesting to see how these teams led by freshmen with so many of them fare versus teams that have a lot of experience. But I'll go ahead and lead us off because this guy I feel like doesn't get talked about enough. He may get talked about more after his performance the other night. And right now, he's probably not leading in terms of freshman of the year conversation, but I think he's going to make a big splash in the tournament and come late in the year. It's Darius Acuff Jr. I love this guy. I actually love him so much. I bought his card 2 months ago. I am such a big fan of this guy. I'm a fan of his shot making, his shot taking, his confidence on the court. Like he doesn't play like a freshman. His ability, I mean, that Bama Arkansas game just a couple nights ago displayed that. Even though they lost, he dropped 49 points and he was the guy with the ball every time, making big shot after big shot. And when you have the ability to just step into a three and make it, I mean, you're on a different level. Like you just give you the ball, get out of the way.
yeah.
Take off.
Yeah, that's funny because I wanted you to go first because I was gonna make sure you were gonna say that because I was pretty confident you were gonna say it. So
Oh yeah,
he would have definitely been mine if you didn't say it. So shout out Darius. Hopefully he does well for your card investment. But I said a while. I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I definitely said it to you at some point about the just my overall like a little bit concerned for freshman leading scoring teams and how it's fared in the past. And I think I might throw that out the window because that's just not the case this year. Obviously, you've heard a ton of experts, not just ourselves, speak about the strength of this class and how many good freshmen there are. I think for me, the obvious one is probably AJ DeBansta from BYU. I think if we were to talk about freshmen and not mention this kid, we would be crucified just because he is leading the nation in scoring, right? But he's not like, he's still grabbing boards, he's still getting assists. Um, I just think that, this is a really good prospect, super young, and he's still able to perform in a really tough conference this year. I'm curious to see how he handles being like the lead guy and losing one of their other lead guys in Richie. But yeah, I gotta go with him. Another guys, a couple other guys. Could have said Keaton Wagler. I really like him. After watching his performance at Mackey, I mean, can't not mention him. I love Kingston Flemings, Caleb Wilson,
Yeah.
Nate Aim. Like you could go on and on and on, but I think to be scoring, I think it's like up to like almost 25 points a night. Like I can't really say anybody else, but um, yeah, shout out to AJ. Hopefully BYU can put it together with him at the helm because they need him.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good.
Oh, and not going to mention Peterson, by the way. I know
Yeah.
people are probably thinking that, but yeah, guy's a quitter. Don't love it,
And he
but
won't be
obviously
anywhere.
incredible talent.
He won't be on my list anywhere.
No,
So, and we're talking National Player of the Year. So, all that like he's not on here. But yeah, the freshman class so impressive, and you've got a lot of freshmen that don't look like freshmen right now, which is the craziest thing to me. And maybe it's just how good the class is, but it seems that way to me that everybody I look at, I'm like, how is that dude 18 years old? There's just a lot of confidence around the league going around. There's a lot of swagger, a lot of confidence. So you love it. That's what you want college basketball to be. That's what you want when you're looking at that. You want these kids who are fighting for everything, not Peterson. So there you go. We'll move that right into an effort guys, defensive player of the year. Since we're talking about that right now. And I've got a slash here because I've got two guys on here, so it's more just in case you mention one of these. So I'm gonna let you go first, just in
All
case.
right. I have two as well, so it's funny you say that. But
Okay. Okay.
um, first one that comes to mind, this might be a little bit of recency bias, but he's been insane, is Yaxel Landeborg. I think he's just shown a tremendous amount of flexibility in terms of who he's able to guard, right? Like he got matched up against Draykoff and Ren, I mean, he was guarding guards throughout the year. I mean, his just, you know, flexibility for Dusty May and that team is insane. I think he's a really good, prospect, mainly because of his defense, right? So I got to give it to him. The other guy I was thinking about um, giving this to is Flory Badunga. I think that he's kind of a beast, holding down the paint for that Kansas team because it's a big part of their success, especially since their star player gives up on them half the time. Um, I think yeah, he's averaging almost 3 blocks a night. So I got to give it. He's more of like my individual guy that's like really like impressed me and wowed me. Yaxel is kind of the anchor of a team defense that is incredibly impressive, right? So that's kind of how I look at both of them, but both well deserved candidates for this award.
Yeah. I like that. So my first one is gonna be Fletcher Lawyer. Got him in there. That's a defensive player of the year. We got Fletch, and then we'll go with the rest of the Purdue roster after that. And then in second, in a close second, we'll go with Malik Brown. So in all seriousness, the Duke guy, I really liked him last year. He was really good. And he played Auburn, played Duke, and this is really where I noticed him, like early in the season last year, and he really took down Janai Broom, and it was a performance that I hadn't seen from anybody been able to stop him so far. So that's where I took note, and I've kind of watched him since then. And Malik Brown does really hold down this Duke team because offensively they're very good. They've got a lot of firepower. Defensively is always where, the questions can lie, especially when you're playing with a lot of freshmen. So having a experienced guy like Malik Brown out there who can match up 1 through 5 against any of these guys, extremely athletic, has extremely long reach as well. So getting hand in passing lanes, being able to block shots. I think he can do it all. I think he's an all around just workhorse for them. So I like him. And the slash I had was actually Landenborg's teammate Mara on here.
Mm.
Because I think you could argue both those guys just like together, kind of just rim protector. It's kind of they've given a lot of awards, defensive player of the year recently to big men, whether it's Edie probably could have won that, but Kalkbrenner won it last year. Those big rim protector guys. So I put one rim protector guy and then another one that could guard 1 through 5. So Mara's my rim protector. Also shout out Santos Surreal, who plays for Georgia. I think he's also very good defender. Pretty much the only thing he really does is defend, but he's leading that conference in blocks. So also another good shout out over there. But I'd go Malik Brown for now.
I like that.
Besides
I don't
Fletcher.
know who the first guy you mentioned was, but Malik Brown's a really good glue guy, role player, knows his role, but is still able to be a leader. And then yeah, if you somehow beat Lendeborg or one of the other guards off the dribble, you're just dribbling into Mara. So I mean that's enough to just piss me off. So yeah, let's do NPOY.
Yeah, so that's frustrating. I like how we both picked Michigan guys right after Michigan beat Purdue. It seems that has gone hand in hand there. So, yeah, NPOY. I'm curious to see, is your NPOY a freshman? No, I'm gonna just ask you that question off the bat.
Yes.
It is. Okay, that makes sense.
I have a feeling we're gonna say the same person.
Okay, we may. I'm not sure. I'll say mine right off the bat. Then he's got a twin. His name is Boozer, and his name is Cameron. First name.
Yeah, that was gonna be mine as well.
Yeah, dude's a freak. Dude's a freak of nature. I mean, like, it's just an insane. The size he has, the physicality he plays with. One on one, you can't guard him. It's questionable 2-on-1 depending on the team. I'm not sure if you can guard him, but he gives Duke an element that is very scary to guard because it gives you that element of run stopper. If you're going on a run and you need a bucket, give the ball to Boozer, or just extender, like that kill shot kind of mentality. He's the one that can put that kill shot down on people. So he's just a scary player to come against. You don't want to guard him, and then the rest of Duke's team kind of filters around him. So it's
Yeah.
scary.
No, that's yeah. I think a good way to look at this too. I think he's probably the most valuable to his team.
Hmm.
Like I think if you took him off the floor, how that Duke team would look is a lot worse than when he's on the floor. Um, you've seen it a couple times. Just might have been able to hide it a little bit in the AC later, like the bottom tiers of the ACC. But curious how that shakes up in the tournament. Other guys I'd maybe give this to. Honestly, like you know, this might be a little bit of bias, but I mean, Braden Smith's a pretty good basketball player. I feel like if we didn't have him, Purdue
Yeah.
wouldn't even be a conversation. So shout out him. I think he might have been the preseason mention, but he was definitely in the conversation. Shout out him. I just think he's coming up on that assist record that may or may not get broken, but the fact that he's even in the conversation of breaking it deserves a mention.
Yeah, I mean he's got to be in there. I mean you can't mention it without it. Um,
Yeah, I a lot of these other teams that are at the top do it kind of death by group. I don't even know if that's a phrase, but they have a lot of components that beat you. So when I do want to give it a National Player of the Year recognition, I do want to give it to somebody that's capable of putting the team on his back and has shown it throughout the year. So I'll highlight Boozer and B. Smith.
Yeah, Boozer's also averaging a triple double just to throw that in there. Or not triple, no, double doubles.
Double double, yeah,
Yeah, so but like 10 rebounds, 22.5 points, 22.8 to be more exact. But
he's
yeah, I
insane.
mean that's ridiculous in its own right. Just that'll win you games alone. Free throw percentage 76 for a guy that's playing forward, very high. Also want to shout out a guy named Michael James. He's actually on my fantasy basketball team, and he is averaging around 22 points. He is the star of Mississippi Valley State University, who is currently a whopping 1 in 25. So just want to shout out him. Potential little shout out there.
All right, yeah, nice man. That'll about do it.
I'm gonna pop him up on the screen. He's awesome.
I don't even check my college fantasy basketball team. The app logged me out, and I totally forget the password. I could maybe do go through the effort of trying to recover it, but I did draft Kobe, so shout out me for auto drafting Kobe. But yeah, no,
Good one.
all good selections, good conversation. I like that. I like that format. A little bit of an NBA style, NBA award show, college style, which is cool.
Yeah.
Um, I'm curious to see maybe this gets shaken up at the end of the tournament, right? I know they do a
Yeah.
most outstanding player of the tournament. So who do you think that'll be? I guess that's a good question.
In,
Last one, bonus
in
question.
March.
Most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament.
In
Who's your
March.
prediction?
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm gonna stick with my boy here. I'm just gonna go with Darius Acuff. I'm gonna stick with him.
So usually it goes to somebody on the Natty team. So
Yeah,
you
that's
think,
all right. That's all right. I
okay,
think they have potential to make a run. I think if they make a good enough run, I think he'll be just lighting it up. If we're going someone on the natty team, and yeah, whatever, you can give it to like Yaxel or somebody. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
yeah, I don't know. I think if like I guess playing off my original spiel to start the video, um, I'll give it to I'll give it to Flemings, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sharp got it, just because
Yeah.
senior leader he likes to chuck. I could see them getting in a tight game later in the tournament where Flemings kind of gets doubled and swings the ball all the way back out to Sharp, and he hits a crazy three.
Yeah.
Might get them um, give him the award just based off of a crazy moment, but
All
that's
right.
a good award that we can maybe circle back to when it gets given to somebody.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. 'Cause it's also just different players rise up in March, different players
Right.
kind of falter, step back a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see who goes off like that. Who has the potential to really go off for a 30-point game or just make something crazy happen. But yeah, we'll see. And it's right around the corner. So we got a couple weeks. I think we've got 3 weeks until conference tournaments, maybe even less than that now. About 5 games left for each team. And then we'll really get a chance to see what this bracket's going to look like. It's starting to take shape right now. Who's going to fall in the 1 seed, the 2 seed, 3 seed, so on and so forth. And we'll be back next episode, either talking about that or something new.